There's a particular kind of quiet on a Tuesday evening when no one calls, no one texts, and the house is exactly as still as you left it that morning. For a lot of people, that quiet feels like proof. The people who matter have drifted, that this is what being alone looks like once the noise of life stops covering for it. Maybe you've felt the discomfort of actually liking that silence, and then feeling strange for liking it, wondering if wanting an evening alone means something is wrong with you. Some of that discomfort isn't about being alone at all. It's about what you've been taught alone is supposed to mean. Psychologist Robert Weiss drew a distinction that matters here. Loneliness comes in two forms, social and emotional. Social loneliness is the absence of a wider network. Emotional loneliness is the absence of one close bond. You can have both or neither. You can be completely alone and feel nothing close to lonely. That third state has a name now: solitude. In Japan, that distinction is architecture. A traditional Japanese home is built around the idea of seijaku, a peaceful, restorative stillness, distinct from isolation. Step through the Genkan, the entryway where the outside world gets left at the door. Sit on the Engawa, the wooden veranda that's neither fully inside nor fully outside. Slide a Shoji screen shut, paper thin, letting light through even when you're alone in the room. Look out at a Tsuboniwa, a tiny courtyard garden tucked into the center of the house. Every one of these solves the same problem Robert Weiss identified decades later. How do you design a life where being alone never has to mean being lonely? And nowhere has that distinction been built into the architecture of daily life more deliberately than in Japan. Walk into a traditional Japanese home, and the very first thing you encounter isn't a room. It's a threshold. The Genkan, a small sunken entryway, slightly lower than the rest of the house, where shoes come off and the outside world stays behind. This isn't simply where Japanese people remove their shoes. It functions as what designers now call a psychological checkpoint. You don't walk from the street directly into your living room the way most Western homes are built. You pause, you step down, then up. A change in floor height, a change in material, a deliberate moment that asks the body to register. I have left one world and entered another. By the time a person crosses that threshold, something in the nervous system has already shifted. The noise of the day, the obligations, the version of yourself the public sees, all of it gets left at that step. What waits beyond it isn't isolation, it's sanctuary. This is the first thing Western homes tend to get wrong. Our front doors open straight into the living room. There's no pause button. The stress of the commute, the weight of the day, walks straight in with us and sits down on the couch before we do. Move past the Genkan, and the traditional Japanese home reveals its second great architectural idea, the Engawa. The Engawa is a wooden veranda that wraps around the edge of a house, sitting just outside the sliding screens but still under the roof. And what makes it remarkable isn't really the wood or the roofline. It's the category it refuses to fit into. The Engawa is neither fully indoors nor fully outdoors. It's both. It's neither. Sit on an Engawa and you're sheltered from rain, but you can feel the air change with the season. You can hear insects in the garden, watch light shift across the leaves, notice the rhythm of weather moving through a day, all without a single conversation, all without leaving the safety of your own home. This is what environmental psychology now describes as a buffer zone. A transitional space that lets a person stay connected to a living, changing world without the social cost of needing to perform for it. No small talk required, no effort to maintain, just presence, witnessed quietly on your own terms. Think about how rarely modern life offers that. Most spaces are binary. You're either alone behind a closed door, or you're out in the world being seen, evaluated, expected to respond. The Engawa proposes a third option: connected but unbothered, present but undisturbed. There's something else worth noticing about the Engawa. something easy to miss. It was historically a place where family gathered, where neighbors paused for a brief word, where a grandmother might sit shelling beans while a grandchild read nearby. It wasn't built as a place to be alone. It became one, naturally, because the space itself never demanded interaction. People could sit there together in total silence for an hour, and it wouldn't feel strange. The architecture simply never asked them to perform closeness. It let closeness happen, or not, without consequence either way. That's a very different design philosophy than a Western dinner table, where silence past a certain point starts to feel like something has gone wrong between the people sitting at it. Step further inside, and the walls themselves stop behaving like walls. Traditional Japanese interiors use shoji, sliding screens made of translucent washi paper stretched over a wooden frame instead of the solid drywall most of us grew up with. And the difference isn't just visual, it's almost philosophical. A Western wall is a hard stop. It seals a room. Behind a closed door, you are alone, fully and completely, cut off from everything beyond it. A shoji screen does something stranger. Light still moves through it. The silhouette of a tree outside still sways faintly across its surface. The shifting shadow of clouds still passes overhead. You are, technically, alone in the room, but the world hasn't actually gone anywhere. You can still feel it breathing on the other side of the paper. There's a concept in Japanese aesthetics for this, wabi-sabi, the acceptance of imperfection and impermanence, often expressed through exactly this kind of shifting light and shadow. Nothing in the room stays static. The quality of solitude changes hour by hour as the sun moves, which means the room itself becomes a kind of quiet companion. Not a person, just evidence that time and the world are still moving alongside you. Fusuma, the opaque cousin of shoji, work a little differently, sliding panels that can divide a room fully or vanish entirely depending on what the day requires. A space can become private in seconds or open back up just as fast. Nothing about Japanese solitude is meant to be permanent. It's adjustable, which might be the entire point. Compare that to a typical Western bedroom door. Closed, it sends one message and one message only. Do not enter, something is wrong, or someone needs to be left alone. Shoji never carries that weight. Sliding a screen shut is simply a small adjustment, like turning down a lamp. No drama attached, no silent argument implied. The architecture itself refuses to let solitude be confused with rejection. There's an old tradition in the tea houses of Sen no Rikyu, the legendary 16th century tea master, where the only light permitted inside came filtered through shoji. Nothing harsh, nothing direct, just diffused, gentle illumination, soft enough that even total privacy never felt severe. At the center of many traditional homes, especially the narrow townhouses once built in dense, crowded cities like Kyoto, sits something almost impossibly small, the Tsuboniwa, a courtyard garden often no larger than a few square meters, fully enclosed by the walls of the house itself. You don't walk through a Tsuboniwa. You're not meant to. It exists purely to be seen from inside through a window or an open shoji screen. A few stones, some moss, maybe a single tree chosen with enormous care precisely because there's no room for a second one. The logic behind it is almost startling in how directly it answers our modern condition. These homes were often surrounded on every side by other buildings, with no view of any horizon, no access to open land. The architect's solution wasn't to pretend that isolation away. It was to build a small, perfect piece of the natural world directly into the center of the house, so that even total enclosure still had something alive at its core. This is worth sitting with for a moment, because it quietly answers a question a lot of adults carry without saying it out loud. What if you don't need a wide social circle to feel grounded? What if you just need one small, well-tended thing to witness slowly over time? A single stone changes nothing about your social calendar, but watching moss thicken across that stone, season after season, watching the particular slant of November light hit it differently than September's did. That is a form of company, quiet, undemanding, but real. This is where ma reappears, the same word from the Engawa, but doing different work now. In Japanese spatial design, ma describes negative space, the deliberate emptiness left inside a room or a garden, not absence as a flaw, absence as the entire point. A Tsuboniwa surrounded by walls isn't a failure to build a bigger garden. It's the recognition that meaning doesn't require scale, it requires attention. Here's the wider truth all of this architecture quietly insists on, whether or not the people living inside it ever say it out loud. A house built by Western convention treats solitude as something to escape from as fast as possible. Open floor plans, wide windows facing the street, living rooms built explicitly for hosting, for being seen, for proving the house is, in fact, full of life whenever anyone visits. A traditional Japanese home does something genuinely different. It treats solitude as a state worth designing for, not enduring, designing for. The Genkan creates a clean break from the noise of the world. The Engawa lets you stay quietly connected to nature without performing for anyone. The Shoji keeps light and life moving even behind a closed door. The Tsuboniwa gives the eye one small, living thing to return to again and again without needing anyone else in the room. None of it removes the people you love. None of it tells you connection doesn't matter. What it does is separate two things. Modern life has quietly fused together, being alone and being lonely. You can be sitting by yourself on a quiet evening, no calls, no plans, exactly the kind of evening that used to feel like a verdict. And instead of asking what's wrong with me, you can ask a different question entirely. What is this space offering me right now? What's moving past that window? What's changed about this room since this morning? That's not isolation. The architecture was telling the truth the whole time. It's sanctuary. There's a particular kind of fear that lives quietly underneath a lot of this. The fear of growing older with less people around, of facing the later years of life without the constant company you once had. It's worth asking honestly whether that fear is something Japanese culture experiences the same way Western culture does, or whether something in how they understand aging changes the entire shape of that question. I explored exactly that in an earlier video, why Japanese seniors aren't afraid of aging alone. And if the idea of solitude as sanctuary resonated with you here, I think you'll find that one changes something too. I'll see you there.